Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a chess show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star, and today our guests are two international masters, professors, Ken Regan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on again. Summer finally.
Great, yes. And Dan Fleetwood, welcome to the show, Dan.
Hi, Sasha. Hi, Ken.
Great to see you as always. Ken, I have a question to you. What's happened with the ratings when they are playing in Norway Chess one classical game, and if it's draw, they're playing then Armageddon game? How does it affect ratings?
Only the classical games matter for the FIDE standard rating. And Carlsen has lost a bunch of rating points. He's went down halfway to 2,800. Someone joked that this might make 2,700 chess elite again. Move the website. And the Armageddon games, I'm not sure how they are classified. Usually time controls faster than 10 minutes for the game are classified as blitz. But
so is Armageddon essentially it's a blitz rating?
No, not sure. It's blitz for white with 7 minutes, but it's rapid for black with 10 minutes.
So then the same game can participate in both ratings.
Yeah, the other way around. Sorry, it's 7 minutes for white.
So they should adjust control to 6.5 to 9.5.
Yeah.
So both ratings would be blitz ratings.
Mm-hmm. So there I'm not sure.
Okay, Ken, there are a lot of interesting games being played, including Carlsen games.
Yeah. Carlsen has been the big
opinion. What's happened in Carlsen? He's rusty. He's lost motivation. Or his opponents became much stronger. What's the story?
That's a good question. I only know what my scientific numbers say, and the scientific numbers say that Carlsen not playing well, at least in the first 3 games. He played much better yesterday.
Yes. Okay, let's look at some of the
games. Let's take a look. So let's start at the beginning with Firouzja. Except as an appetizer, though, I do wish to show one Armageddon accident.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that here. This is only 17 move game. In fact, I left the key point of the game showing. So this is Armageddon. Yeah, white gets the 10 minutes, black gets the 7 minutes, as you can see. And so normal enterprising English line. Okay, we're not going to repeat moves. This is queried by the engine because now black definitely has control over the light squares, but white is going to play some tactics. So at least white did not lose control of d3, but this structure is better for black because white is a backward d pawn. However, I guess Keimer figured that he could just try to build this position up. So, he played normal moves for white. And now, the action is all on the C file. So it's very natural for white to double rooks on the C file, because not only will that make a target out of C5, but if black supports it by B6, then white in some positions has latent pins along the file with B4. However, white should have thought a little bit more about that last clause, pins along the file. White played rook c2, and Prague played knight d4 check. And the problem is that a pin along the c file costs white the knight. So
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, so Keimer gave up.
It's a 1,500 game, 1,500 ELO rating point game.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it all comes out in my statistics, and contributes to the screening score being under 50 for the Armageddon in general. So we start Carlsen's Odyssey against Swellfoot the Tyrant. That's a different Greek person. It's Oedipus Rex, but in any event, Alireza Firouzja wheeled himself over to Norway Chess after exiting the Romania tournament early, and he came out on a good foot here, playing He was playing with his right leg elevated. So now this is a new hyper modern way to treat the queen's gambit declined as black. You stop white from playing bishop g5, so white stops black from playing bishop b4. All makes sense. Now we enter lines of a more normal character. But here, Magnus Carlsen decides to get enterprising. It is the engine's preferred move. So rather than allow a possible isolated pawn formation, black closes the center. So now it's going to be a scrum with heavy pieces in the center. So I'm not a sense of my naivete at chess. I'm not really sure what bishop g3 is for. Although actually, no, I must say it does allow in some positions the bishop to be preserved by
Right.
f3.
It's a standard prophylactic in a lot of these lines. I'm wondering, going back to black's fourth, whether if white is a specialist in the bishop to f4 lines, you can't just go into one of those and be a looks like that. Yeah. Because trading the bishop isn't great for black, or you could play bishop. Yeah, I don't know.
B4, yeah, I don't know if there's.
I mean, I hate to. I don't feel I guess qualified to criticize Carlsen in terms of chess knowledge, but it seems like there should be some deep reason that you can't get away with h6.
Yeah. Well, it's been popular. Carlsen's not the only one playing it, I think.
Right. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll have a correspondence opponent that will give me the opportunity to go into that very deeply. I was thinking with some of the lines where white gets in an early c5. Some of those rely on a single tempo, and if the computer thinks that it's okay, it's probably okay. But some of those lines go like 17 or 18 moves deep. So
where white gets in an early d5, you said, or
no, c5.
C5. Okay. Where white plays the way.
Yeah, a lot of those are highly tactical with the bishop f4 and then a c5 advance. Black can equalize in the regular variation, but with a wasted move on h6, I don't know. All right. Okay. Anyway, here we are.
Yep. So white actually was preparing f4 to support the center, support the knight on e5, and now the bishop finds new use along the e1 to a5 diagonal, where it influences black's counterplay with b4. I mean, white is keeping up a normal opening edge. Okay, now we relocate, take advantage of black's bishop being away, and Carlsen decides to capture on c3 and just play with the fact that black actually can access the queen side more easily than white can, because black's bishop is controlling b1 and black has a passed a pawn, and white's majority e3 right now is restrained. So this makes positional sense for black. Okay, and black is going to counterattack some things and prevent white from capturing on a6. Well, it didn't prevent white from capturing on a6. So what's black going to do about it? Okay. So the point is that white did have to make a concession in the center. So this looks like it should be okay for black. The engine is saying, completely equal at this time, but Carlsen gets wrong-footed. Keeping up with those puns here. Okay, yeah. So all right, so black has the better minor piece. But white does get the A file.
It's really hard to believe that Carlsen as black is going to lose this.
Yeah, that's right. As well as overlook some important tactics. Now here I must, however, say one other thing about Norway chess: the time control. It's 2 hours up front to but it's not even correct to say to reach turn 40. What happens at turn 40 is not a lump sum of new time, but just the introduction of an increment, and the increment is only 10 seconds. So to reach turn 60, that extra 10 seconds gives you only 3 1/3 extra minutes. So in my time control scheme, this is game 123 1/3 minutes, which is not much difference from game 120, which is the fastest fully licensed time control before this year anyway. So for standard chess and norms. Okay, well, Firouzja won a pawn, so White's now 2 pawns ahead. What's Black going to do? So what Black should do is infiltrate the queen side. Okay, bring the queen to b2, and eventually get counterplay against, with the passed c pawn. I thought Black was going to take White's c pawn earlier in the game. This is a mistake, but the mistake has a mistake built on top of it. So, so what Carlsen missed, and this is going to miss in a different iteration as well, is that Black has a resource in this position after rook a7, and that's to play knight d1.
Ooh.
It looked like Black was losing
Wow.
stuff. It's checkmate on e1, and so Black is actually okay in this position.
Oh, that's easy to miss, but that's very clever.
Yes, as I said, the time pressure was so given. So it seemed like that was Black's intent, but then Black followed through with king g8, but now Black is a tempo down and just lost because e4 happens, and this just is resigned in 4 moves later. So uncharacteristic miss by Carlsen, as a time control playing a role here as well. Very steady play by Firouzja. He did, after all, just pocket pawns. So now the game against Keymer featured more misadventures in the time control, and I may have to research more carefully what the effect of the time control is. So again, we have enterprising play right away. Okay, one of these English openings where Black exchanges early on c3. You might know more about these than I know, Dan.
I know this more from the Black side, and on the Black side, it's frequently better to capture with the B pawn than the D pawn. But from the White side, I like having the extra room for the development. So.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. If you're playing this as a Black side of Sicilian, then you do want to keep the pawn mass as a defensive mass. Whereas here, White's bishops are attacking things, but the nature of the position is closed. So it's not at all clear that White can open it up. And Keymer plays very simply. And here both players are moving quickly at the beginning. The next game, that's going to be a major comment about the time usage. But here, so Carlsen redeploys the knight to stop any further moves by the pawn. One of the themes here is whether White can bust open the queen side. And you'll play b4, and after taking capture with the b pawn, and play b4 again and drive Black back.
I have to say that any opening where it takes 3 moves to get a white knight to a3 is suspect.
Yeah. Certainly agreed there. Okay, so normal play. Now the players have used half their time, so they did slow down a lot in the past 5 moves, but this is all very well-known strategy from a Nimzo Indian defense as Black. And
I like this position as Black a lot.
Yeah, at one point early when I was viewing this game live, I thought that I liked White because White had more potential breaks than Black does. Black doesn't really have any pawn breaks, but White hasn't been able to support getting f4 in or getting b4 in. So this very heavy on the prophylaxis position is working. But okay, so Carlsen breaks out finally with b4, but it's fine, according to the engine and in real time over the board, for black just to sit and actually prepare e6 as a retreat square for the knight. So there we go. All right, white moves ahead, but now black restraint is focused on the e4 square. Black's pieces are still nice and fluid, and here comes more restraint. Okay, black feels white's pieces aren't exactly able to infiltrate the king side in this position, though you do have to worry about the diagonal that white's bishop just got postured in. And now Carlsen played a stratagem that called to mind a game, Fischer-Unzicker, or wherever, where I think, or Karpov-Unzicker. I'm forgetting, where I think Karpov played a bishop to a7 and tripled on the file behind it.
Yeah.
So Carlsen
may be one of those fishing in troubled waters positions.
Yeah, well, waters do get very troubled in a little bit for both players. Okay, so now actually black should invite more trouble and play h3 following through, but queen f6 is natural too. There's nothing wrong with that. Just gives white a tempo to stop the h3 advance. And now the question is, can black make use of the dark squared complex f4 and g3? I'm sure that looks attractive, but meanwhile, white fingers the fact that the queen side was a little neglected by queen f6. So Frustra relied upon this defense, okay, not caring about what white has on the a file, but actually maybe black should have cared. This bishop is now strongly embarrassed. So now the game gets very tactical, okay? So the latent feature in this position is that bishop g5 is going to trap black's queen once white gets in the move c5 and drives the knight away from e6. It's one of several features. The other feature is that black's c7 pawn is holding up b6 and d6. If all three go, it's worth the investment of a piece for white. But there's a tactical mistake with this move. Okay, so b5. Okay, so now what white wants to do is exemplified by what follows. So black can't really move this bishop. For instance, if you move the bishop here, then white plays this great c5 move. Okay, and the bishop's no longer supporting d7, so it's even worse than the fact that white is threatening to win the queen. It's that
I recall that's one of your favorite themes, Ken.
Yes, there were games from an earlier tournament that I wanted to find where that happened. Yes, so black has to leave the bishop on c6 and use this or use this discovery to get it to recapture on d7. But what black should play is knight e6 and not worry about the collapse of the queen side. Or rather, note that queen d8 is apparently an adequate defense. So it's hard to judge this sort of position. Comes down to evaluation of some concrete tactics, how quickly white c pawns can get mobile. But apparently this is okay for black. It was not yet acute time pressure, but knight e8 guarding d6 is so natural. The only problem is white can literally leave black hanging. Okay, and now the b6 pawn is going to go. So black therefore decided to try to get some counterplay on the king side rather than just play bishop b7. If you play bishop b7 though, then the c5 move is on again. So that's the other latent problem for black. So bishop takes e4, tempo move, and then retreat and guard the queen side. Pawns are even, so it's bishops against knights in a closed position, but white obviously has pinned black down, and white goes about it a little too directly. So it turns out attacking on the king side and maybe picking up the pawn on h4 is the way to go. Okay, so black gets some counterplay. And Carlsen, 5 minutes left, just misjudged this attack, but he also got some misjudgment in return. So what black can do here is black can capture this thing. Okay. And if white plays queen takes b6, then queen g5 is a good enough counterattack against white's king. And if white plays rook takes b6, then knight d3. Okay. And this is a Petrosian-like position to evaluate. Now, frankly, I would think exchange down and white having it passed pawn should be a win for white. But it's white is going to lose. Sorry, white is going to lose the bishop on b3, and it's just going to be a locked position. So sorry, never mind. I was idiotic. Wow. And I prepared it before the game, just not seeing the bishop on b3 was hanging. So anyway, so that was a mistake, but Firouzja believed it and played knight c7. Now black by rights ought to just be lost and is lost. And Carlsen could have cashed in. Okay, so a little bit of maneuvering here, and now I know you're in time pressure, and you have actually it's time pressure after with the increment. So black's down to 30 seconds, in fact. So maybe you don't expect that there's mate in this position, but there is. So rook a8 check. King g7, capture the knight. Doesn't matter which way black captures. And queen h5. This is mate. Mate on the board coming. But Carlsen, normally any fast chess player would see this sort of thing in an instant. But Firouzja didn't see it either. So Carlsen went queen g4 to try to simplify the game. And I'm not necessarily going to play through the rest of the game. Carlsen still has an advantage, but there's not really anything to undertake.
Yeah.
So I'll just quickly play. It's a very blocked position, and the player is shadow boxed for some time. White infiltrated, but there's really no breakthrough in this position. So there are no red, yellow, no time when white had an opportunity to do anything. So eventually they agreed to draw and went to Armageddon.
Yeah. White bishop is absolutely hopeless. Was on c2, now on e2. It's absolutely hopeless piece.
But this pawn at least keeps black's knight from infiltrating.
That's right. Yeah.
F4 is not such a great place for black's knight, and black can't even really maneuver it there easily anyway. So, and the knight has to do its duty on b6. So, okay, Carlsen did win the Armageddon, so it was okay with, half a point, so to speak, out of 2. But then came this really hard to understand, absolute time pressure, brouhaha against Praggnanandhaa. But why time pressure? Well, Carlsen plays the Sicilian. That's nice and enterprising. But, so we play the h6 move. We've used 15 minutes deciding to play
This must be the Harry variation.
The Harry?
The Harry variation.
Okay. I don't know.
Harry the H-pawn.
So if you play h5, it will be double Harry variation,
double
right?
Harry. Yeah.
No. Well,
if you get it to h6, then it's really, well, never mind.
You can ask what would Miguel do, and Miguel Najdorf would just
play e5.
And say, thank you for weakening your pawn on h4.
Right.
But okay. So Carlsen apparently said he was psyched out by bishop c4. He was not expecting Pragg to shift over to Fischer's way of playing with the extra h moves in.
If I was black, I would feel like that I was in real trouble here too. Which is why black should have played e5.
Yes. So Carlsen played e6. Okay, that move he made relatively quickly. But this move, he used half an hour on knight c6, like figuring I'd rather play knight d7, but I'm going to get chopped on e6, and the weakness of these two squares, g6 and h5, are probably going to make things worse for me. So
yeah, Queen C7 looks more sensible, but anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, so Carlsen now at least started making some moves in reasonable time, but he's burned almost half his time on the first 10 moves. And now Carlsen decides to play the double Harry variation. So you're at least admitting you lost the tempo. So F3, okay. So actually Carlsen does not get a bad position. And now,
I mean, this looks like it could have come out of a standard Sozin or a Velimirovich attack.
That's right. Yeah, I know, very much a Velimirovich attack. So it turns out, I mean, rook takes c3 is bound to happen. White's best prophylactic is to play king g1 for reasons that are clear. But Pragg, being of the younger generation, doesn't think how bad it is to allow rook takes c3. And maybe the engines are of the younger generation too, because Pragg actually gets quite a nice position. But anyway, queen a5, and now White has to spend a tempo. And there's a difference of opinion as to which pawn Carlsen should have taken. Queen takes c3, I think maybe more in keeping with the spirit of things, but Carlsen took on queen takes a3, leaving the c pawn stubbled. And so now Pragg starts attacking in the center, and Black should keep more student body on the queen side with knight c6. Instead, knight g4 is a little bit too automatic, and maybe Carlsen didn't see or underestimated the e5 move, because now the knights are definitely off to one side, and White is ready to come in on the d file. So, okay, knight f8 guards d7. And then this was not cracking the whip as much as White could have done by playing rook g1, I guess, is the better move. Okay, so now, but Pragg still has the advantage. And Carlsen decides to capture pawn, and here we go. We are definitely bearing down on Black's king, and now knight takes b7. Not really a mistake, I'd say. White's still preserving the advantage, but it's around here that Pragg begins to overestimate his position. So rook d8, all right, that's fine, pinning down. Black, however, had a tactic here, and one wonders if Carlsen saw it or not. Could have taken on c2 with the bishop and played knight e3 check. Well, anyway, okay, bishop c6, natural move. Capture that instead. And now Pragg goes a little bit, hunting for things here. Okay, so now Carlsen played a move that made me think the Carlsen is back. Okay, g5, great move. Okay, first of all, if rook takes g5, then Black corners this rook. White's not attacking the bishop anymore, and it's going to win the knight on b7. Okay, so then h takes g5 is the natural move, but now Black gets this great counterplay with the h pawn. Okay, however, Pragg continued his plan of trying to win something on the back rank. But g4. So this should now again be simply winning for Carlsen. Now, it turns out actually that the right way to play with queen c8 was to play the king back to f8, because then on knight c6 you could just guard this way. Oops, or maybe you can't. Sorry. Oh, I am wrong. So no, it is the other way. Okay. Wow. Okay, and I thought I looked at this before when the game was being played. So I'm sorry. It's here. I'll say here, bishop c6. Okay, I'm sorry. Here, bishop c6 was the move. Okay. But Carlsen miscalculated this, but time pressure, last minute. Okay, so now it's a double exchange sacrifice. What's happening in this position? Hair trigger tactics. Black is going to try to queen a pawn, but we have to do it correctly. So knight f4 is correctly. G3 is not correctly. Now Pragg could win the game by doing rooks belong behind passed pawns, rook g8, but instead c6, a miscalculation allowing black to equalize, but only if you play g2 first. Instead, king g7. Now Pragg is going to queen with check. And after a couple more moves, Carlsen realized that he was just lost. So White's going to take on b7 and queen. So sudden collapse when Carlsen had a chance to win the game with the right order of moves, but time pressure. So I have one more game to show, and that's his game against Gukash. I guess I'll just show this very quickly. This is where Carlsen recovered, but there was a slip up early on here. In fact, I'll really just emphasize the slip up early on. Okay, so again, this is all very well known. And then Carlsen confessed, though, that he just didn't see knight b5. Like forgetting book or whatever. Maybe this is a relatively new variation, Dan. I don't know.
I don't know. This line with queen d6 is unfamiliar to me.
Yeah, maybe queen d6 is the oddball move. It's not among the engine stop suggestions. h6 right away seems more natural. But anyway, so Carlsen confessed that he just didn't see this move. Okay, black bishop takes b2 check is liked better by the engine, but there's nothing really wrong with what Carlsen played. This is a fine position for black, pawn weakness, but open lines, and white has some problems with the king that are going to come out. So, and Carlsen now just plays the game very nicely the rest of the way. This is peak Carlsen, ganging up in the center. Pragg doesn't defend correctly and wins this game very smoothly without any adventures. Okay, just take the opportunities that white gives you, and now you can see that white is collapsing, and so white gives up in a few more moves. So very nice game by Carlsen. We'll see what happens from tomorrow onward.
Yeah, very interesting continuation of the tournament. Thank you so much for today's program, and looking forward to see you next week. Same place, same time. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye. Good seeing you, Dan.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Okay.